on, guys? Jared here from the Fans View podcast. Now, usually this is where I introduced my next guest, but it's just me this time. We're going to try something a little unconventional. This was going to be a vlog video originally, but turns out your boy is terrible at vlogging. Who knew? I'm sorry for all the crap I've ever given any vlogger, mainly because I've watched a lot of vlog content and never appreciated how difficult it actually is to have that like stream of consciousness type style. Regardless, anyway, I'm gonna ramble on a little bit here. This video is gonna be me talking about my experience with All Elite Wrestling Collision back a couple weeks ago in Charlotte, North Carolina at the Bojangles Coliseum. And I'll probably pepper in some pictures and stuff along the way. Full disclosure, I was comped a ticket for this event. I was there in a media capacity, not just as a fan, but also in a media format to give my honest opinion and review, and that's what I plan to do. Give a little background. I've been a wrestling fan for as long as I can remember, 20, 25 plus years. I like WWE. I like AEW. I like TNA. I like New Japan. I like plenty of independent companies. I like GCW. I like DCW, WCW. You name it, if it has a W at the end, I've probably watched it. I've probably enjoyed it. I've got an eclectic taste of wrestlers that I enjoy, wrestlers that I don't enjoy. And we'll kind of get into that. Hopefully, if you kind of watch the podcast, you've gotten some sort of insight into my interests if you care to know. But regardless, I just want to jump right in. Like I said, I might pepper some pictures and some videos throughout this little video, but mostly I just want to talk about the card that night. I want to talk about how AEW, what kind of seats AEW gave me as a member of the media. Yeah, let's jump right into it. So anybody that's ever been to Collision, some would consider it the B show. I don't want to be disrespectful and call it that, but it's not Dynamite. It's not the flagship show. Anybody familiar with WWE's taping schedule? Usually I think on like SmackDown nights, they used to tape Main Event or Superstars, whatever it may be. That's kind of what AEW does now. On Collision nights, they tape Ring of Honor for the following week. So, first things first, I'm actually going to Quentin Tarantino this thing, and we're going to go back to the beginning. While I did attend the show as a media member, I'm a fan. This is the Fans View podcast. So, I wasn't the airport guy or the hotel guy. Hotels are out of the question, in my opinion. Airports are a gray area. Probably should stay away from those two, but I'm not here to preach to anybody. If you're an airport grapher, do it. If you're a hotel grapher, God bless. I went to the arena, hung out in the back with some fans, and we just hung out and waited for the wrestlers to come by, see who would sign some autographs, who wouldn't, take pictures, the whole 9 yards. So in that aspect, 100% on my own, I was a fan. I don't even know if AEW would love me talking about this portion of it because I was at the show as media, but hey, you're going to get unfiltered here for no other reason than I'm too stupid to lie to you guys. Anyway, I got there super early in the day, hung out. Like I said, there was probably, I would say, a half dozen fans outside when I got there, when me and my buddy got there. A couple guys I knew, a lot of guys I didn't know. Actually ran into a fellow podcaster. I don't know if he wants me to say his name, so I'm just going to leave it at a fellow podcaster for right now. But I might tag him down in the description later. Cold, folks. Charlotte, North Carolina in January is no joke. So we sat out there freezing our butts. But I have to say, this isn't the first time I've been a fan and done the arena thing. And my first experience with AEW was not that pleasant. I would say more often than not, the superstars were not willing to interact. They were not willing to come sign autographs, take pictures. They didn't seem interested, which is interesting in my opinion, because right or wrong, you're kind of pegged right now as the B team to the WWE. And if you go to a WWE show, I feel like they're much more accommodating, surprisingly. But anyway, all that said, they are under no, let me make this very clear. They're under no obligation whatsoever, unless it's a paid meet and greet, to sign an autograph, to take a picture, to interact, to do any of that. And I respect their right and ability to do that. But that doesn't mean I have to like it. I'm not going to call any names, but getting back to Charlotte, I want to say this time around, it was a lot of people were very, very pleasant. Dax Harwood was wonderful with the fans. John Moxley, wonderful with the fans. Ricky Morton, not wonderful with the fans. And maybe that had something to do with they were doing a meet and greet once doors opened for like 30 minutes, taking pictures and whatnot. But it was a free meet and greet. I don't really understand why you couldn't take a picture with the one fan outside that won, and it was not me. I'm not a rock and roll kind of guy. Why you couldn't take a picture with one fan, but hey, again, you're under no obligation. Yeah, really, I'm talking about this portion just to put over how wonderful of a human being Adam Copeland is, because again, freezing weather, he drove however many hours from his home in Asheville and could not have been nicer with the fans. Just to give you a little insight into what I'm talking about and how fun and talkative and just down to earth Adam Edge Copeland is. I'm gonna pop this video in right here.
Really? I got a hat trick too. That's awesome. Yeah, I think I was the only one
trying to get you drying though.
That's cool. Mind if I get a photo over here, Adam?
Yeah, in Asheville.
Oh, you're there?
Oh, you're okay.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Can I get a picture?
Thanks. Yep, I heard.
As you can see, Adam Copeland, Cope, Edge, whatever you want to call him, is wonderful. Every time I've met him, he's been just the most gracious human being, which, you know, a lot of people in his position wouldn't be, because he's done it all, he's seen it all, he's signed the autographs, he's taken the pictures. But this is an Adam Copeland appreciation episode. But I want to jump into the show. Like I said, they filmed Ring of Honor. Matter of fact, before I even do that, I want to show you guys where I was sitting, where I was put as a member of the media. I'll probably pop that in like right around here somewhere. So as you can see, pretty good seats. And like I said earlier, they taped Ring of Honor before Collision. Ring of Honor, if you're not familiar with it, it used to be a standalone company. Unfortunately, was having some money issues, was bought out by Tony Khan, and now it's kind of become the underbrand maybe of AEW. That said, it's where the maybe unpolished wrestlers kind of are honing their craft. But that's not to take away from the ring veterans that are in that promotion. Chris Jericho's the champion, so it's not all what you would call green workers and wrestlers. And there's a lot of talent. One person that sticks out in my mind when I think of Ring of Honor right now is Billy Starks. Just a phenomenal talent. I think that young woman, the sky's the limit for her. I first saw her in GCW, and I actually got to see her, as you're about to find out, on this taping of Ring of Honor. So let's jump right into it. The first match of the Ring of Honor card was Billy Starks versus Brittany Jade. Obviously, was brought in as an enhancement talent. She's local to the Carolinas, and you could tell this was the first match of the evening. And to say it was a pro Brittany Jade crowd would be an understatement. She was getting chants. She was getting, the crowd was behind her. You would have thought Billy was the just evil heel here. And just to be very honest with you guys, she may have been. I'm not familiar with the ROH brand right now. I am familiar with Billy's work as a whole separately, but I'm not very familiar with the stories and what's going on in ROH. But yeah, she was definitely fighting from underneath this night with the crowd, that is, because this match was relatively short. Obviously, Billy wins it with the Swanton. Everybody's happy, and that was it. The second match, which I'm just gonna go ahead and it wasn't good. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't have fun watching it. It was Rachel Ellering versus Queen Aminata. Not familiar with Queen Aminata. I know who she is. I'm not very familiar with her work. Rachel Ellering is not the same person. That's not the right way to phrase this. Rachel Ellering has changed a lot since her days in NXT from when I remember her. Just to kind of glance at my notes a little bit, it was the crowd didn't care. I mean, and granted, this is the second match of the night. They're here for Collision. Edge is in the main event versus Jericho in the Learning Tree. Maybe they're just not into it. The match was slow. There was a lot of chain wrestling to start, and then it was very flat. Queen Aminata wins with like a headbutt right at about 5 minutes, about 10 seconds shy of 5 minutes. It was what it was. Um, it was what it was. It felt like filler, but no disrespect to those two women working hard. It didn't land that particular night. Next up, let me just go ahead and just let me get this out there. The Fans View podcast is a Harley Cameron appreciation podcast. I think the absolute world of her. She granted me an interview when this podcast was very young. She was the kindest woman in the world to me. She's obviously very beautiful, and I think she's incredibly talented. With that said, I got to watch her wrestle, and that was very enjoyable for me because I'm a fan. She actually locked up with Trish Adora. I'm not the only Harley Cameron fan. There was a very stout chant for Harley. It was a very pro Harley crowd. It was a good match. It was Harley Cameron is very talented and is going to be a star in professional wrestling. Right now, she's still working on honing her craft. I think, and really, she's got the character work pretty well down. I think it's just a matter of she's not bad in the ring. It's just getting that seasoning, getting those reps, getting that time. I mean, obviously, she's been very upfront about working with a veteran like Saraya. So I think it's only a matter of time before, Harley Cameron's a big name in pro wrestling. Trish Adora, I'm not very familiar with. Again, I'm not very familiar with this reboot of ROH. I know she's in Shane Taylor Promotions, a stable. That's all I got for you. Adora, unfortunately, beat our girl. She defeated Harley Cameron at about 6.5 minutes. This is where things got a little weird. If you follow me on any of my socials, I tweeted it out, I Instagrammed it, I TikToked it, I YouTube shorted it. JoJo just pops up as a special guest ring announcer in a dark match. Obviously, this went super viral, not from me per se, unfortunately, but it did go super viral with fans very split on JoJo showing up in AEW, especially in the proximity that WWE being they, put Wyndham Rotunda, Bray Wyatt on a Legends deal to kind of give her a steady stream of income. And some fans feel like maybe she kind of turned her back on WWE. I'm not super sure how I feel about that. I'd love to know what you think about it if you want to drop it down in the comments. Let's be respectful, though. I mean, she is a grown woman. She can work wherever she wants. She has 2 children to provide for, so let's keep that in mind. But yeah, the dark match was Dark Order, Alex Reynolds and John Silver versus 2 guys I've never heard of in my life. Evil Uno was over big here with the Charlotte crowd, as the Dark Order was, as they are usually. The heels got a lot of heat in this match. It was your typical dark match if you've ever been to a house show early on the card. That's what this was. Nothing special. Dark Order won it at about 6 minutes. And then we got into the main card, which, let me pull this up. All right, so then we got into the main card of Collision. I'm going to drop the intro right about here. So first thing we got was Daddy Magic Matt Menard joining the commentary team. And then we had the TNT Championship match, which I won't lie to you, I went in with very low expectations. I am not a Daniel Garcia guy. Admittedly, I'm not really a big Briscoe Brothers fan. Rest in peace, Jay. I don't dislike them. They've never really been my cup of tea. That said, This match was a banger. I really thought they were going to go to a time limit draw, but they didn't, obviously. Daniel Garcia picked up the win after a sick match. It's fantastic. Probably match of the night. Then we got Death Riders, Jay White deal, Moxley interview. Then we got Jeff Jarrett versus Aaron Solo, which was all right. That was cool. I mean, it was coming off the heels of Jeff Jarrett talking about how he re-signed and he was going after the AEW championship. So I guess they just had to put him in there with somebody. Then we got an AEW tag title match with Private Party, who was over like crazy, versus Action Andretti and Leo Rush. Good match, fun match, great match. The biggest thing I remember from this match, though, is the fact that Action Andretti and Leo Rush came out looking like Bowser from Super Mario Brothers. Maybe it's just me. I thought it was kind of silly, but, to each their own. After that, we got more backstage with Edge, Lexi Nair. Lexi Nair was interviewing Cope, which that's an interesting choice. But anyway, yeah, that happened. After that was another great match. It was Toni Storm versus Deonna Purrazzo with Taya Valkyrie at her side. Obviously, they're doing this whole amnesia thing still with Toni Storm, and that's super fun. I mean, it's better. I didn't enjoy the timeless thing. I mean, I know a lot of people did. I didn't love it. Whatever. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was just, I am enjoying this run of Toni right now where she's this rookie because she can't remember that she's like a world-class athlete. Anyway, Toni won with a roll-up, I believe. But that was fun. Then we had a little bit of footage played from Dynamite setting up Christopher Daniels versus Hangman. A little more footage backstage. It was the Acclaimed teasing that breakup and the Hurt Syndicate stuff. Then came another banger of a match. I mean, AEW did not disappoint. AEW did not disappoint Charlotte, North Carolina. This was and the stipulation was kind of hokey. We didn't need it. Could have just been a 4-way match for whatever, no reason. But it was $100,000 high-speed collision 4-way match, which was kind of silly and hokey, but it is what it is. You had the ROH TV champion Commander facing off against, I want to get this right, Top Flight's Dante Martin, the Beast Mortos, and the Machine Brian Cage. This match was so fun. Just boom, 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 boom. This is exactly what this match should have been, and it was just so much fun. The high flying, you had Brian Cage just tossing these guys around like rag dolls. Commander was just hitting moves that were just phenomenal. Just unbelievable athleticism in this match. I really, really enjoyed this. And then we had FTR. FTR in the back with Rock and Roll Express. Again, I'm not a Rock and Roll Express fan. Excuse me, Rated FTR. I'm not a Rock and Roll Express fan. They do nothing for me. I could care less. I know that's going to get me tarred and feathered in the Carolinas, but it is what it is. And then we had the main event. It was Rated FTR versus the Learning Tree. It was fun. I think they made reference to the fact that this was the first time that Edge and Jericho were in the same ring together in 15 years, which is unbelievable to think about. Wow, 15 years. That's crazy. Makes me feel like an old man. It was good. It was exactly what you thought it was. The baby faces going over type deal. It was interrupted by Moxley having the Rock and Roll Express tied up in the back. Rated FTR wins the match. You see the spears, all the finishes, FTR wins, Rated FTR wins the match. Moxley comes on the big screen. He's got them tied up. He lures the baby faces out to the back where they're obviously, of course, attacked. It was fun. It was a fun show. I'm going to say this. AEW catches a lot of flack, and they make a lot of weird decisions. But pro wrestling's supposed to be fun at the end of the day. It's supposed to be an enjoyable outlet. I've been guilty of taking it a little too seriously at times myself, but all in all, and AEW didn't pay me for this. They're not giving me anything special for this. This is solely my opinion. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. This isn't my first AEW show. This is my third AEW show. And I've had fun every time I've went. WWE's fun. I love going to WWE shows. I love going to NXT shows. I love wrestling. and live wrestling is second to none. So yeah, to put a bow on it, I really, really, really enjoyed this episode of Collision, being live in Charlotte. I very much enjoyed it, and I really hope to go again in the near future. And if anybody's out on the fence, like you hear bad things about AEW, you see the crowds are terrible. And let me just say, this crowd, this was a packed house from about the end of the ROH taping all the way through the night. They packed Bojangles Coliseum. And the crowd was loud. They were into it. They were enjoying themselves. Anybody that's on the fence, go. It's a good time. It's cheaper than it is to go to WWE right now. So yeah, it's 2 thumbs up from me. Go if you have the opportunity. You won't regret it. It's very enjoyable. And if you go to an AEW show, you've always got the opportunity, maybe, just maybe, to meet this guy. And while he might catch a little flack, I've been to years and years and years of WWE shows, and I never met Vince or Triple H. But at my 3rd show ever, and first time really trying to meet him, I was able to meet Tony Khan. And not for nothing, as a fan, as an autograph seeker, as somebody that enjoys meeting these superstars and such, that's pretty freaking cool. But with that said, I would love to hear you guys' comments on this, your opinions. What did you think of the show if you watched it? Have you been to an AEW live event? Are you thinking about going? Like, I want to hear it all. And of course, I can't get out of here without plugging the podcast. Please, 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 if you're watching this, drop a subscription, drop a like, throw me a comment. Every little bit helps in me trying to grow this thing. And I've listened to so many podcasts, I've watched so many YouTube shows that's all I am. It's just a fan with a camera and a computer. Just want to talk to you guys. Hopefully bring you a little content, bring you some fun, not just about pro wrestling, about NASCAR, about football. You name it, I'm going to try to have it on. But I need support from people like you guys that are watching this video right now. So with that said, make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to subscribe. Go check out another video of mine. And until next time, guys, don't forget, call your mom.
If you haven't liked or subscribed, you're going to be joking me.